This podcast number 2 is not about ghosts
that are evil, and they show themselves differently depending on that, and that's how you get a gnome, for instance.
We will be speaking on the subject of fairies, fae folk, little people, whatever you want to call them. I have seen a thing that we've called a fairy in the woods.
Oh no, stop it. You're joking. It's off. It's off.
Stop it.
Welcome to the REMPOD, where we research and experience all things mystical. Join us as we dive deep into topics such as mystical beings, paranormal, and mysterious creatures. If you have a topic you want us to cover, or you have some experiences of your own, leave them down in the comments below to be featured in an episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the REMPOD. That was great.
I was like, do I look at you or the 3 cameras that are around us?
Do I look up? Do I look down? Do I ask the ghost how it's doing? I don't know what I'm doing
If
here.
you're here, make a cap all go off.
Oh yeah, we have all the cat balls on again.
Also, you can see everything now. We have another angle.
Yay for more angles.
Look at us go.
We're getting professional.
Also, I have an eye on the camera that cut off last time, so we'll be able to see if they're being slick.
Yeah, I love that they can't see like the rig that we have set up. It's just a step stool with a makeup compact mirror sitting at an angle, just like, there we go.
But it works, and now we can see if the sneaky ghost is
ghost
pulling stuff again.
Yes. Make a cat ball go off. Do it. Do it. You won't do it.
3,
2,
2, 1.
Cat ball.
If
No.
one after they did.
And I have this thing set up again so they can see it on this angle. And okay. This podcast number 2 is not about ghosts.
No. So it'll be interesting if our ghost stuff goes off first off, and second, if it starts talking about mystical
Creatures.
things.
Yeah. Which today we will be speaking on the subject of fairies, fae folk, little people, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, it varies from country to country and just general areas. They all have different names for them. Some names people consider like derogatory towards them, like fairies. They don't like to be called fairies in some places.
Oops.
Yeah,
Oh.
and then and then other places they say like they prefer to be called fae, but then some places say fae is just like the French version of fairy, and
Wow.
But, yeah, there's.
Sorry, everyone. I didn't mean it.
They like to play little jokes on you, and just various other things. I have a couple of websites pulled up that have some backstory and lore on it that are like little snippets, just because there's so much and in so many different places, and just the fae in general have an extensive background that is both easily researched but also hard to find the actual truthful research on it. Sometimes the stories and like the writings and the fantasy and not sci-fi, but the fiction gets turned into the actual lore when it wasn't. So it's hard to figure out which websites are just joking around or like telling a story and which ones are like, no, this is real.
Yeah. So I did a YouTube video on it before, and I mixed it together with gnomes, so it was like half my attention was at it.
Yeah.
So I know some stuff on it, but I'm curious to see, because I know you're really excited about this episode.
Yeah. I love the fae. I actually have one tattooed on me. I need to get it redone and like just fixed, because I got it done at a point in time when I decided to let an apprentice at a tattoo shop do it, and oh man, those lines are thick.
Oh no.
The tattoo blew out like crazy, but I got a girl that can make it look pretty. So.
Oh yeah, I can't hear it.
I turned the volume on it up, so hopefully we'll be able to hear it if anything goes off.
You guys can tell us if you're watching on YouTube.
And if we miss anything and it has anything to do with what we're talking about, that might be even better.
Yeah. Well, also, we can check on it every once
Yeah.
in a while.
True. Like, oh, what's this say? What's this say? I guess I could
Oh,
just be
yeah.
smart.
Move
and,
it back for us to see.
Yeah. Sorry,
all
little
of us.
skull man. Yeah.
Woo,
There we
woo.
go. Now we can see it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Perfect. You might have to log into that again. Oh, nope. It did the thing.
Also, not to do with the with editing, we don't have to say we can take a break. It's literally so easy to.
Okay.
So we can literally stop. What did that say?
You're going to hate it. Oh. We are
was not
safe. Thank
talking
you
to
very
you.
much. We are protected. We are safe. Well, tricksters, it said you are not safe. Okay. First words out of this thing.
How about leave us alone? Which one?
Caroline.
Mighty fine. Sorry.
Who's Caroline?
I don't know.
Wait.
I might have to turn this down just a little bit because it's going to be super loud.
Did it say that name last time?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's a bunch of like older style names.
Okay, so tell us a little bit that you know about. What am I allowed to call them?
I mean, you can call them fairies. I mean,
Okay.
it varies from place to place. You can call them the little people. You can call them fae, but like, they fought here. We may have to turn this off because last time it was super active.
Well, it's also relevant to what happened last time.
True. Yeah.
Okay, if you're listening and you're from last time, we aren't talking about that anymore. We're talking about fairies. So if you want to say something about that,
if the
go
ghost wants to join into the conversation, or the spirits want to join into the conversation of fae and fairies, and they have any knowledge on that because they may or may not be in the same realm.
Yeah, can you see fairies?
Yeah. I wonder if they interact with fae at all.
Okay, so when I was making my last video, and then we'll get into history and what they actually are, I heard that like you could see them, but they're like a little sparkle when you're not looking.
That's so funny that you say that for the story later.
Really? Because I've seen that before. I've seen like little sparkles around, and I was like, whoa, I'm really tripping out right now.
That's funny. It just said to leave. We're not leaving. This is
our place.
Yeah, this is our place. Like we stay here. You have to leave.
This is our podcast, and you're a guest.
Also, you're not allowed to choke me this time.
Oh my god.
Not cool. Not cool at all. No permission granted for that ever.
Yeah, we're not even talking to you or acknowledging that.
Yeah.
Whoever that was.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's funny that you say the whole like fairy, fae, like sparkly light thing, because I was asking a few people that I know. I was like, hey, what do you know on, fae, fairies, fae folk, whatever you want to call them. What do you know about them, and do you have any experiences with them? And a lot of people said they know of them, but not enough to like really dive into the subject. Mm-hmm. And then one person gave me like an entire story of something that happened to her and two of her friends.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
I'm excited about that. But if you want to hear that story, you have to wait till we get to the EVP'd our pants.
Yeah, we EVP'd our pants. But as far as history, what history do you have on them? Like, what knowledge do you have in your brain?
So from what I was researching before is that they're spirits, and that's just how they show themselves, because it's a nice way, and they can either be a nice fairy or a mean one, depending on how you talk about them. But
yeah,
that's also what the internet said.
Yep. And I know what we have. I'll read a little bit. Or do you want... Need trust, need help. Okay.
Faith, trust, and pixie dust is what Tinkerbell always says. What's the secret?
It said keep the secret.
Yeah, tell us about fairies. Are you going to tell us the secret
Keep the
about
secret.
fairies?
We're keeping something secret. I mean, tell us the secret. We'll keep it.
Yeah. So many people will definitely won't know what you just.
No, not at all. This isn't a podcast that gets broadcast. It's a podcast that gets broadcast.
Also, it's storming now. I heard thunder. So if you hear
It's raining.
if you hear something,
It's not After Effects. It's actual rain.
it's real. So don't come for us, okay?
That was great. So what we have here on the history, a fairy, also fae, fair folk, or fairy, spelled differently, a type of mythical being or legendary creature found in the folklore of multiple European cultures, a form of spirit often described as metaphysical.
Not After Effects.
Not After Effects, that's actual thunder.
Wait, it did that at the same time it thundered.
It said house. This is
What's secret about what?
household. Hole? Ooh. Okay.
Are you a fairy?
Are we? I wonder. That's another thing I was wondering. Is the Fae are of a different realm?
Oh yeah. So another thing that I figured out when I was doing research, and another reason I made the video 2-in-1, fairies and gnomes, is because everyone was saying, they're both spirits, so it's like just however they want to show themselves.
I'm wondering if maybe they were misspeaking and saying it's a spirit when they meant sprite, because they're like little sprites.
I'm not sure.
We'll have to look that up a little more in depth. But I do know that gnomes and, I believe gnomes and trolls and dwarves and all that, they're all of the same kind of realm.
Yeah.
Ominous. I love it. The first tales of the fairies date back to Greek mythology, where fairies protected the earth with vigor and might. In the 1400s, England came up with a new idea of little people who were either nice or evil. This invoked fear in the British, and the average citizen avoided every place that the fairies lived.
Why did it have to say that?
I don't know. British people were scared of fairies because they were thought to be mischievous creatures with the ability to curse them.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Yeah, so you have... Listen to this.
Tell us the secret.
No, I think it meant listen to this, the ability to curse them. You have to treat them with respect. And offer them gifts and give them things. Like you would give gifts to fairy, leave gifts to the fae people in the form of things they couldn't get on their own, which would be sweet treats and alcohol. So
You want a little treat?
so like giving them like this, like I would offer this, like offer little sweet treats to them. They can take these are theirs if they want them, giving them alcohol, but I do think it's a certain type of alcohol that they prefer. I have to double check on that one. But you leave gifts. They're like little trees and fairy trees, like hawthorn trees. You leave gifts on.
Yeah, because I've seen people make up like little fairy gardens.
Mm-hmm. And do you see the fairy circles with the mushrooms and all
Yeah.
that? Yeah. So I also have a photo that we can pop up on the screen, and I'll show you on my phone when we're not currently using it. But I have my boyfriend and I have what I believe is a home of the fae in his backyard now. It is the most beautiful, random, just, he killed me, it said. It's the beautiful, most random thing that just kind of happened. So this tree in his backyard, one of the cats that we adopted climbed up the tree and got stuck. We did this whole thing where I had to get like a basket and I put it on a rope and we threw it over, rolled the basket up with a can of wet cat food in there. Cat climbed in the basket and then we rolled the thing down. Literally like, out of a book is how we saved this cat from the tree. And then they eventually had that tree cut down. But I don't know what happened to it, like to have this be. I know some people are like, it's just nature. That's just how it works. This has never happened in his backyard before, like ever. but we cut down something else, and I guess this stump got put on top of the other stump, and now it's, please go left. But now it's this, those like pottery things that people make with the steps.
Yeah.
It's mushrooms coming out of the side of the stump in the form of like steps and everything. It's beautiful. But I think that's a little like fairy hole.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're said to live underground also.
I never knew that. I thought they just lived in trees and mushrooms.
Yeah, they have fairy holes and fairy circles, and I don't know. And it's in this other article that's like the Irish fairy mythology, but this one is, they were creatures with magical powers that belonged to the gods and goddesses. I'm probably going to say this wrong. I'm going to try real hard. Tautha de Danann, and they were a very evolved race. They infamously appeared in the form of humans because, hi Fred.
Fred?
They appear in the form of humans. So fae aren't just these little things that look like little tiny butterflies with wings. Like, they have a human form for some of them. Yes, fairy homes are sometimes considered sacred ground.
I thought it said in the ground, I was about to cry.
No, they are here. It's funny. Let me find what I was just looking at as it said that. I was looking at rag trees. So rag trees are a tradition that provides yet more evidence that belief in fairies and ethereal, and the ethereal lives on in Ireland. They usually have a particular tree growing in some remote spot, and there's like pieces of material and stuff tied to the tree. People hang colored rags on hawthorn trees to gain good fortune and to render a sick relative or friend well again. This tradition lives on to this day. Rag trees are often located near holy wells.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you have the thing about fairy forts and ring forts. Another place where fairies meet is at ring forts. Prehistoric monuments dot the island of Ireland. They are so numerous that an accurate amount of Ireland's dolmens, hill forts, ring forts, and stone circles is impossible. With multiple theories by words are hard, man. Archaeologists about their purpose. In the past, Irish people used fairy folklore to explain their presence. To them, these monuments were simply fairy forts and the places where the fae lived. And you can find fairies in Ireland, in the Burin. It's a great place to find fairies. The region of spectacular limestone, again, comes up with, limestone quartz and all that, is a regular attraction during the small group tours of Ireland that they offer. In olden times, Irish believed that fairies in Ireland were neither human nor ghosts, but rather natural beings with supernatural powers. They are small. They can die, and they can give birth to children. They can be generous and bring luck and fortune. If you harm them or their property, they can be extremely vengeful. So it's one of those things where you need to, if you...
You don't say.
You don't say. If you don't... If a fairy deems that what you did was disrespectful, just check your shoelaces before you stand up. You might tie them together. And they like to play little tricks.
I think you're nice.
But there's stories of like they would take children and like switch them out with changelings, and they would steal kids and just like play evil tricks on people, and so they're always so afraid of them. But they're also good fae that try and help you.
There's always good and bad.
Yeah. When we cut away, this thing said, yes, listen to this. It said, listen to this again. When it cut away for a moment, like if there's any awkward cut, and the way we're restarting this is weird for this reason. As we're turning off and restarting the cameras so that we can do this in segments, it said, my throat. And last time, something tried to choke me, which was fun. Not really. Don't do it again.
Earlier today, it said hung.
Yeah. Earlier it said hung. And so I'm wondering, you got a back forest back there, like a bunch of trees. So I don't know. I don't know the history of this land. But
That just gave me chills.
I'm going to continue to let you read your fairy
So what I was saying
folklore before this thing was tried to say my throat. My throat is my throat, not your throat. Don't touch me. No
Boom,
permission.
roasted.
Boom. Boom. With all the respect, I do want to say that I have nothing but respect for the spirits.
Yes.
Yes, positive. We're just joking. We're playing around. I still don't give you permission to touch me or choke me. That'd be real nice if you didn't do it.
We are
Thanks.
sorry what happened or
Yeah.
what might have happened to you, but you're not allowed to show us your pain.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Back to the fairy lore and fae lore and
so when I was researching again this time, it's similar to last time in saying, again, that they can show their self as a fairy or a gnome or a goblin or anything of that realm. So I think it's interesting that that's not the case.
yeah.
Saying like they're either good or evil, and they show themselves differently depending on that, and that's how you get a gnome, for instance. Is fairies are nice, and then they turn into a gnome if they're not. And I was like, yeah, we're not talking about the incident.
Right.
But yeah, it's just like, oh, they can choose how they're gonna show themselves to you. And I was like, what? They're kind of different, I feel like. They look
are.
different, they act different, you describe them differently.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not that they appear as a gnome or a troll or a fairy or a sprite or anything. There's all of those things in that realm. They're all different types of fae. There's one fae that I always thought was interesting. I don't remember the name of it, and I always get it wrong. For some reason, I always want to say Casanova, but it's a type of fae where if you run into this fae in the woods, damage. If you run into the fae, this particular one, it will woo you or like seduce you, and after it's seduced you, you will either never be happy with anybody else you're with, to the point where you'll just like say bye to the world.
wow.
Or you just will always be just wanting that again or wanting to like feel that again, and you'll never be as satisfied ever again.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that one was funny.
I didn't know there was like different genres of them.
There are a few books that have been written that oddly enough get a lot of the lore correct. I don't know if they're intending to or if that's like their focus is like they want to base it off of the true lore, but also keep it like fiction-ish or like mystical or whatever. But Brian Froud, he has a book that he illustrated, and it's called Good Fairies, Bad Fairies. And so on one side, you open it, and it's got the good fairies. And you turn it over, like, upside down, there's the bad fairies. And so it's different types of fairies. His version of, like, his illustrations of them. And his artwork is gorgeous. I absolutely love his artwork when it comes to the fae. But, yeah, it's got a list of different types of fae that are in the world and what they do and what their purpose, I guess, is. And then there's...
Are you sitting with us?
We are sitting. I don't know. I got chill on this side. But he has just gorgeous artwork of his rendition of what a fae looks like. They're very lonely here. We're here now. You can hang out as long as you don't hurt anyone.
Yeah, you can hang out with us. You just can't touch us.
Yeah. But anyway, there's also another book called it's the Book of Pressed Fairies. This one is kind of a fiction. It is a fiction. It's about this girl who is going out into the world, and like she'll take her book and she'll catch a fairy with the book and essentially squish them. And it's brutal, but there's some like the illustrations are cute because there's one where it's like this fairy's like bent over and it's like doing that, and it's got like his like skirt and booty out or whatever, and then there's another one where he's just like it's interesting. I have some. I took the art pieces and put them on like blocks of like wood so I can hang them in my house.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's really neat. I'll have to pop up some photos. Roberts. Weird.
That's another thing I was gonna ask because this keeps saying
Military.
doesn't have anything to do with fairies.
No. Well, maybe. Have you ever read any like fiction-based books on fairies?
Mm-mm. Most I've ever seen about fairies is Tinkerbell and Peter Pan.
Okay. There's a really, really good series of books. It's the Artemis Fowl series. I absolutely love Artemis Fowl. The whole like Owen Colfer, or Ian Colfer. I always pronounce his name incorrectly and I feel bad about it. I should know it by now. But the Artemis Fowl series, the character is based in Ireland, and he ends up, working with fairies.
Mm-hmm.
And so they actually have in that book a military, like the fairies have a military of sorts. It's called Lep Recon.
Wow.
Like they go on recon missions, and they're the LEP. And so it's Lep Recon.
Wow.
Yeah.
So wait, are fairies and leprechauns the same?
Yeah, they're in the same realm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, they have some of the stuff they've really got right in there as far as like lore goes, which I can only imagine. The guy that wrote it is from Ireland. But I highly suggest reading or listening to those audiobooks and physical books. You can listen to the book. It might tell you a story. But I recommend the Artemis Fowl series. It gives you a good like base knowledge on Fae, but while keeping it very interesting, it kind of makes you want to look up more information on it too.
Laura.
Do they have names? That's something. That's what I was trying to say. And
then Holly, Mulch Diggums. I love Mulch Diggums. And then there's Artemis and his bodyguard, which his name is kind of a spoiler, so I don't want to just spoil alert if you don't want to know his name. Just skip past I'll just cover my mouth and say it until it's Domovoy. And so eventually he's got and there's another series, he's got little brothers and they're twins, and then they eventually go off on their own missions with their own fairies and stuff. But yeah, I highly recommend that series if you want to get into Fae and good mystery adventure.
That's fun.
It's fun. It's a good one.
Because I heard, we watch all the crazy shows that, investigate fairies and leprechauns and Bigfoot and all the things. And I know in Ireland, the government tells you can't go somewhere.
Yes, they do.
Battery? Stop it.
I'm going to check. Hang on.
Everyone hold, please.
No freaking way.
Is it telling us it's about to take the battery? Please don't kill our cameras, please.
I'm agitated.
Oh, the battery. I'm agitated. It's wanting to steal the battery. I mean, if you steal the battery and you make, just steal my phone battery.
Yeah.
Don't steal the camera battery. Take the battery from the phone.
You know what? You can take the light battery because it's an endless supply.
Yeah, true. Comedy.
Are we funny?
I know I'm funny looking. I guess maybe we are funny. I mean, maybe it's a comedy that we're talking about Fae, and they're like, you know nothing. And it's like, well, yeah, we probably don't know.
Yeah, so can you help us? If
Yeah.
you know something we don't, only about the topic we're talking about.
If you know something about Fae, Fae folk, fairies, and their origin and lore, threat, just say it on here. But yeah, I don't know if you have any experience with the Fae or if maybe you have firsthand knowledge or interactions with them. Do you? Do you have any experience with the Fae aside from that light that you saw?
Well, I see it a lot, and I just never knew what it was. I was like, oh, a ghost. Oh, like normal. But after I did that fairy video, everyone was explaining that they see them. Does that have to do with
said
fairies?
mirrors.
Does that have to do with them, or is that... Okay.
All right.
Anyway,
I'm gonna say that's because we hit the table. But
I didn't touch the table.
I didn't touch the table either.
So a cat ball is going off. I don't know if anyone can see that.
You're gonna have to do it again.
It said neither. It said neither.
Neither of us. So it was neither of us. Oh, hi, Sandra. Do you want to set that cat ball off again, Sandra? That'd be great. Or maybe the one up there, or the ones behind Miranda, or either of the ones on the table. Set it off again. Use your energy to set it off again.
I really didn't touch the table.
I didn't either.
And I don't know if anyone can see that, but...
I know I leaned over, but I didn't hit anything, I don't think.
I was moving, but I haven't touched the table.
I mean, we have proof of the cameras.
And I can even hit the table, and it doesn't go off.
Okay, fair. Wow.
It's literally moving around and not going off.
Okay. Well, then, I think that's the second time we've ever really had a cat ball go off. As far as the fairy experiences go, I have a friend that I did not expect them to have a story. I didn't expect anyone that I reached out to have an actual story. And they actually had a moment.
No, he
will not.
He will stay away.
No, he will
We're
not.
talking to you.
Does not have permission to touch me. You do not have permission to touch me. You don't have permission to touch anyone in here. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
The actual experience a friend of mine had, I messaged my friend Cammie, and she said, I have seen a thing that we've called a fairy in the woods.
Oh no. Stop it. You're joking. It's off. It's off.
Stop it. Ah! Okay, pause.
I'm leaving this rolling.
No permission. No permission to touch
We're not
me.
talking to you. You're done here. You can leave.
Yeah, we're done. We're done communicating with that. Good energy, good vibes, good spirits only. Please, thank you. We've made our offering to the fae. I have seen a thing that we have called a fairy in the woods. Myself, my son's dad, and our best friend were in the middle of the woods. We were all three on the trunk of the car, parked on what would be described as a small cliff overlooking the riverbank. We all happened to notice the tiniest flittering of light through the trees. It seemed to be dipping down into the water and back up. We assumed it was a firefly at first. After about 5 minutes or so of watching it dip down into the water, we finished the joint and decided to head out. As we're stretching and getting ready for the longest drive back to town, the tiny light darts up the riverbank and into the tree line close to the edge of the cliff. It seemed to be watching us. We were just kind of watching it back when it decided to get a little closer. It eventually came within about 6 to 8 feet from us and seemed to kind of float around us, checking us all out. It was not a firefly. It was just a light, the tiniest little glow. You could not make out any solid form whatsoever. To this day, I have no idea what we saw. I've never seen anything like it again. It was about 1997 or 1998 when it happened. The only other living person who witnessed it is still one of my best friends, and we still talk about it.
Wow.
You've got to go. Nope, you've got to go. We're done communicating. I'm going to turn this off. Thank you for talking to us. You do not have permission to follow us. You do not have permission to harm us. You do not have permission to touch us. You do not have permission to possess us. You do not have permission to do anything negative in this vicinity. You need to leave and go to your realm or pass on to the next. You do not have permission to be here. Goodbye. Thank you for speaking. We're done.
No.
The last word was secret.
Also, while you were saying your story, I'm just saying, so there's evidence. It said, yes, I will, when we said, you're not touching us.
Yep.
I'm not even kidding. I'm not even
Again?
kidding. No, it didn't stop. Go look at it. It hit a button. A button is hit. It's still recording, but a button is hit. What's it say?
Focus mode.
Stop.
No. I'm tearing up.
I have chills. Stop. What is it doing?
Okay, it does say internal temp too high.
Okay.
Does this camera ever overheat?
No. This one would be too. They're the same camera.
The sudden change in camera angle where it's just going to be this for the rest of the podcast. Whatever has just decided that we're done talking about this subject, whether it be the spirit that apparently resides here or entity that resides here, or the Fae just don't want us to talk about it right now. I don't know. But these are our offerings for the Fae. I'll bring some little alcohol for them as well. To get on their good side, I guess. I don't want them to think that we're disrespecting them by talking about their lore and where they come from. Maybe we're just getting some stuff really wrong. Maybe we'll have to do like a revisit to the Fae and their lore on a different podcast at a later date.
Yeah.
But
after we get their permission.
yeah, we'll give them plenty of offerings, and then I'll show you the little fairy hole in our backyard. And yeah, it may or may not be just that's how nature works, and I get that, but it really feels and looks very mystical.
I'm so excited to see. I think all that stuff is so beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's like you see it and you're like, makes you feel calm or something.
Yeah.
Serotonin.
I like sitting outside and like looking at it. It's just really pleasant to like look at and just think like, oh wow, they live there.
And it stays there?
Yeah, I mean it's been there for a while.
See, like mushrooms die, don't they? Like normal ones?
Well, the mushrooms on this one, they like are legitimately just like, it looks like they're hardened with like moss over top of them. Like they turned into like hard rocks where they just look like stepping stones. And as the mushrooms grow around it, they'll like solidify. It's odd. I mean, I'm nowhere near versed in like the nature and like or how nature really works and what happens like in the process and all of that. But so I'm not educated in that sense.
Yeah.
So I don't really know why they're doing that or what's causing it to happen. I know it's just that's how it works.
Yeah.
But it just is odd in the direction and the shape that they're doing.
That sounds cool. And it probably like looks fake or planned or set up.
It looks very set up.
Yeah.
It looks very fake.
But also normal mushrooms that just grow in your yard die after like a week.
After that appeared in his yard, no mushrooms grow anywhere else in his backyard.
See, like that.
Only in that spot. He'll get a rogue mushroom here or there, but I think that's just where maybe like they dropped something.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I guess we should tease them about what the next podcast is going to be about. So, what's our next podcast going to be about?
So, a glimpse into the next podcast. Be on the lookout for UFOs and aliens.
Oh, I have so many stories for this one. Not necessarily just from me, but the boyfriend.
I'm so excited for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, this one, I feel like you had to take the lead on. I felt bad about, but, like, I was like, oh, I saw Sparkle before.
That's why I thought it was funny that you said that. I was like, yeah, you did. And you probably did see him.
Wow, I have seen a fairy.
Possibly.
That's magical.
Yeah.
So if you have any fairy experiences, you should leave them down below, and maybe we'll make a part 2 and share your experiences.
Oh, we could, because we definitely have to research the lore a little bit more. Maybe we'll just research the lore a little bit more and make the Fae proud of us for doing due diligence the next time.
Yes, and if you have any other podcast topics for us to go over with the story that goes to them, leave them down below and we will feature you in that podcast.
Yes. And also, hey, there's a button down there and it says subscribe. Hit that. That'd be great. Also, did you know the bell? You have to click that bell as well so that you get notified. Yes. Hell's bells. But smash that like button.
Smash the like button.
And slam the subscribe button.
If it says subscribed, you're a real one.
Yeah. If it says subscribed and the bell notification is darkened, you a real one.
Yeah. If it says subscribe
with no bell,
what are you waiting for?
go down there and do it. But this was fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to showing everybody what happens behind the scenes on these.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that.
It's slightly horrifying.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.